Good morning, everybody.
Hi there.
Say hi.
Good morning.
And Mom, we're here today to talk about Dusty and her life and her work and all the things that go on with it. Let's get started. Putting the pieces of your life together. That's what it's all about?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, let's start with you today.
Okay.
Shall we? And who is that?
Okay.
Where were you?
I was at the Grand Canyon on the vacation, and
Yeah.
I was seeing we have a great time in our vacation.
Yes, that's been a couple of years ago, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about you today. If I were to ask you today how life is,
The
what would
life
you
is
say?
great.
Life is great? Kind of fun?
Kind of fun.
Yeah. You've got a house that you rent
Uh-huh.
and some people that live with you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Some friends?
Yep.
And you do some work part-time
You bet.
and some volunteer work?
Mm-hmm.
And what's all this about starting a business?
A business about Dusty's puppets.
Right, right. And we'll get to that after a while. You also have Down syndrome,
Yes, I do.
and you have to watch your sugar, don't you?
Yep.
Yeah, that's diabetes
That's diabetes
and some low vision.
and low vision too.
Yeah, Dusty is legally blind, but actually that works to some benefit stuff that's pretty nice for her. We need to go back and talk about your school years. When you were still in Santa Monica,
Yeah.
when we were in high school and junior high down there, and some of the things that we as parents, Donna and I, were very much interested in our values around the decision making that had to be done for Dusty. As we worked with our teachers and the professionals in our life, we always tried to make sure that we were working towards her self-esteem, that Dusty wanted to have a life that she felt good about. And we also wanted people to support her interests. We knew that she'd have needs for support through her life, and so we wanted to prepare her to be interdependent on people. We certainly had the values of inclusion both in school and the community. And we made some early decisions not to go after diplomas and pieces of paper, but to really stay with experiences that would lead to these things of a life for her. We did know from early on that there were some medical threats. This diabetes is probably the shortest string in her life. She does have to test her blood, take shots several times a day. There was also that always fear that parents have that she might be rejected, not picked up and not accommodated by the community and the school. And of course, I guess everybody worries that if you push your kids, and this is not really necessarily disability related, but we might get her over her head in some things. But I have to say very quickly that the support that she's had in her life and the acceptance that she's found has gotten her past that.
School inclusion was very important to us. We wanted Dusty to be able to participate in general education classes as much as possible, as well as extracurricular activities. We learned early on that she was very interested in performance. She was very happy doing presentations in her classes. For example, a multimedia presentation that she did in her freshman science class. She loved her drama and music classes, especially the chorus. And we found out that Dusty is a ham. Dusty also had lots of opportunities to be included in the community. She participated in the youth program and the youth choir, especially at our church, and some shows that they performed. She was right there with neighborhood activities, especially on holidays. And her very first puppet show she did on the 4th of July at one of our neighborhood picnics.
We wanted Dusty to have work experience early in her school career, but we also had a very strong belief that she should be a student. She had a few years to be in school, and we wanted her to have as much school experience as possible. So we worked with the special ed and the regular ed folk at the school to see if she couldn't have jobs and work experience that were on campus. She did need to test her blood at noon, and some of the school folks were freaking out about that, but we found that she could just spend lunch hour working in the nurse's office. It worked out just fine. She worked in the student store there, and one of her first experiences in child care was a little program that was set up for school-age moms. And Dusty got to be with the babies, feed them, and she really turned on to that. the school was very accommodating of Dusty at the time, and I remember that in one of her English classes, she was asked to write a little story. Remember that? Mm-hmm. What did you write about?
Oh yeah, I was writing about a story called the Little Mermaid.
Dusty actually made a book called The Little Mermaid, and she would take it into the nursery and read to the kids. So it was really good.
One of the tools that was particularly helpful for us, beginning when Dusty was a young teenager and continues to be helpful to us, is the idea of person-centered planning. In this concept, first you build your circle of support. So Dusty invited many people that she knows and that she feels comfortable with to come to a meeting about her future. Here's a little map of her circle of support. The role of the circle was particularly to help Dusty think about her future and to help guide her through that thinking. So Dusty, who do we have here?
Okay, we have my own friends just came along, and we just had my own position, and I was with Richard Rosenberg, and my friends just came to see me.
And our circle of support meets and meets again and meets again over time. And the first thing that happens in one of these meetings is to get Dusty to start to think about her dreams. At her first meeting when she was 16, these are some of her dreams. This was a graphic illustration by Jack Pierpoint, who together with Marcia Forrest came up with this particular model for person-centered planning. So Dusty, what are some of your dreams?
Well, my dreams are to be a star on the stage and get married.
Okay, and I see going to college.
Going to college.
I see babies.
And babies too.
Love
I see
babies.
travel.
I travel too.
And down there in the corner, Dusty, I see one called Time Without Mom and Dad. You were already thinking about being out on your own, weren't you?
Could be, yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. But the two big dreams are to get married and to be on stage. And then we proceeded to work through Dusty's first map and path. This is the maps chart that has come from Inclusion Press. And in this particular model, first you think about who is the person, what are her dreams, and also what are her nightmares? What is she worried about? Our particular nightmare was, would Dusty have excellent support for her medical needs throughout her life? And then going on, what are some of her strengths? What are some of her needs for support? And what kind of paths are we going to take in order to get to her dreams? And here's the chart for the path. Having established those big dreams, then we think about goals that could be accomplished within a year that would be along the road to those dreams. For example, if her dream is to be on stage, perhaps along that road might be singing in the school chorus, being in a school play, attending a play, being an usher at a play. There are many, many things that one can do to move along the way toward those dreams. And then we went about thinking about what are our current goals and where are we now? What people do we need to enlist to help us to get along those pathways? What do we need to do to build our own strength for the journey? And then what are those steps along the way that we need to do? What would be our first step, our second action step, and so forth. And Dust, who have we here?
Okay, I was with Richard Rosenberg and Bill, and they were very nice to me, and they're saying, how was Dusty doing? And I was doing fine.
And you'll see in the background the big chart on the wall for Dusty's first map and path. And of course there are other models besides the ones that we've mentioned, the map and path that we have mentioned for person-centered planning, but I think it's extremely important for parents, professionals, and people being served to use some kind of a form of person-centered planning.
So, Dust, let's talk about moving and transition, and getting on with life. We had to have a lot of changes going on about that time, but we really had to stop and think about transition to what? Are we thinking transition to work, or transition to supported living, or transition to life? And I think we finally made our focus to life. It was a move and a time for a lot of change in all of our lives. We were moving from Southern California to Northern California. We live now just north of San Francisco in a place called Marin County, which meant a whole new set of friends and a whole new set of things for Dusty to do. We found a transition program there that was based at the local community college, and so Dusty was actually able to go to school, and they helped her a lot to plan for the things that were going on after her life. We sort of went back and continued our own values and expectations, looking at our changing role as parents now and beginning to think about letting go, accepting Dusty's dreams, following the path that she's on, and wanting to make sure that she was certainly having a happy life and that she was satisfied with it. And we began to look at some supported living options as she got out of school. We knew that she'd be doing supported work. We knew that we'd have to help her with accessing the supports that were necessary for that. And one of the big pieces over the last 10 or 15 years has just been to keep up with all the good stuff that people are doing in support these days. The technology of support has changed so dramatically in the last few years, and it's so much richer as we've learned what people can do and how to help them in it. The community college did play a large part in our activities with Dusty during these years. They gave her an opportunity to continue in her performance activities, the opportunities to be on stage. She had some chances to go out and do some conference presentations with us. There was work experience. You remember working in the restaurant across the street?
Oh yes, that was Bill's.
Bill's is still a good place to go and eat. We visited at least once a month. Dusty worked in the college bookstore at the College of Marin, and interestingly enough, I had worked in the college bookstore when I was at the University of Texas lots of years ago. So she was just sort of following along in my students' footsteps. Also, she was able to begin to do some child care. There were lots of social opportunities. As I say, we met a whole new set of friends. String of boyfriends came through there. And again, we looked at the graduation after 4 years of doing that. Dusty did log about 60 hours, which would have been an AA degree, except that she had chosen more of the art and performance classes, so she really didn't have everything necessary for a degree, but she certainly did have a lot of experience towards life preparation. Who's that, Dust?
Oh yeah, and this is my contemporary chorus room, and I was on the stage with my choir gang with Stan.
Yeah, Stan Krasick was a wonderful inclusive teacher who just had Dusty right up there with the rest of the College of Marin singers. And what in the world is this one?
And I was at the drama class, and I was doing I was in the show of children.
Yes, and what were you doing?
I was playing mosquito on a stick.
You were a mosquito on a stick, and didn't you all take that play out to some of the local children's programs around at Christmas?
Sometimes.
Yeah. And what in the world was this?
And I was on Daniel's desk, and he told me about how using the computer keys on the computer to do some emails.
Keeping up with the friends in Southern California that you had moved away from, right?
Right.
Yeah. Well, and there you are in cap and
I was
gown.
graduating,
Yeah.
and I was with Kristen and Kim.
So Dusty went all the way through the graduation exercises. She got a completion certificate from the College of Marin, and as I say, had about 60 hours. We began then to work and plan and think about her next move, which would be into some local adult service provision. We had to learn about the adult world and thinking about living and work. Explorations, again, lots of decisions. In California, it's possible to be what is called a parent provider, and I had done service provision in California. It's a very complicated process. There's lots of paperwork and lots of strings, and for a number of reasons, we decided not to go that way. The biggest one was that I think both Donna and I wanted to see Dusty in the adult service world and be able to stand aside and just see how life is going to be for someday when we may not be still around. We looked for providers that matched Dusty's needs and her wants and our values. And we also looked for a provider that could do the full range of employment, what we call day programming out there, and also supported living, so that one set of an organization could really take care of Dusty on a 24/7 basis. We had to make connections with all of the systems. The Department of Rehabilitation has provided some services to Dusty, but where we live in our locale, the MRDD ID system has been the primary funder for everything that she's getting support in today. Dusty receives SSI. She's also a recipient of SSDI as a person with disability based on the fact that I'm an old guy now and I get Social Security, so she gets a little bit of that. She's eligible for Medi-Cal, which is Medicaid in California, and also Medicare. She's dual eligible in that arena. We registered Dusty early on for Section 8, and a housing voucher came up for her at just about the time she was interested in moving out. Which worked well. And of course the in-home support services, which are county run in our area, played into a supported living arrangement for her as well. But all that had to be done. And then we got into actually figuring out what supported life for Dusty would be like. Again, some of our expectations working with the provider agency, we really wanted them to focus on Dusty and her dreams and listen to her and do what she wanted to do. We wanted our values to be taken care of. We began to really work with this circle of support and make certain that they were around to help her, to provide information for her. We wanted to make certain that she was connected to as much of the benefit that's available as possible. And we again looked to the provider to help us pull all of that stuff together. Dusty moved, it's almost been 4 years ago now, but what's that, Dusty?
Oh yeah, I was holding a sign that says Nashville of Marin.
Yeah.
And I was taking Garb's place with a truck picture of a rhino.
When Dusty decided that it would be okay to move out, she at that moment was very enamored with Garth Brooks, and her idea of moving out was to move to Nashville. Mom thought Nashville was a little farther away from Northern California than we'd like to be, so we decided to create a Nashville apartment in Marin County. Called it Nashville in Marin, found some great ranch oak furniture to decorate it with, and we had moving day.
And I was with my two partners are Red with his assistant, and they were trying to get my own furniture ready.
And you moved first to an apartment and then to this nice house.
And I was moving to a new house.
Right. And who's that?
And that's my own roommate, Angela.
Yeah.
She's with me.
Yeah. There you are at home.
And I was in my room. I was making my own bed.
Had to learn about doing a lot of things, didn't you?
Doing some vacuuming.
Yeah.
And dusting.
Having a house is a big responsibility.
And disability too.
Yeah, but it really meant having a life, right? Becoming friends with Angela.
Yeah.
Meeting all of her friends. Having like a family around you.
Could be.
Just being out in the community a lot and meeting a whole lot of new people. Big social life, working towards your dreams, and lots of changes going on, right? And always, always being creative. Now.
Okay. And I was with Angela, and she was with her, and we just go to the Weight Watchers, and then she knows about really healthy meals.
How much, Dusty, you and Angela were in Weight Watchers together.
Yes, we were.
How much weight did you lose?
50 pounds.
50 pounds, and you've kept it off.
That's right.
That's right. She's been a wonderful, wonderful resource for us. And who's that?
And that's my darling, wonderful darling Jonathan Holbrook. And he's so cute and lovable.
He is a cute and lovable guy.
He calls me honey.
And he calls you honey, and he's really a sweetheart.
He's a really sweetheart.
Who's that?
And that was me again. I was at a new Santa Claus doing some Christmas caroling with my guitar, guitar lessons with Catherine.
Yeah, Catherine helped you learn to play the guitar a little bit. And who's that guy you're hanging out with?
And my dad and I just went down to the Murray Company for something for dinner with a guy named Dave.
Well, we'll talk about Dave a little later, but that's one of Dusty and my favorite hangouts. Oh, now here's a big change.
And here's a really big change. I was holding Angela's baby named Lexi, and my mom was looking at her.
So a baby came to live with you, and there they are.
And here we are.
And
we were all together.
You and Ange, and who's the dog?
And that's Mr. Holly.
Mr. Howley, that's the dog in their family. That's why we moved from the apartment
And
into the house.
And I was holding her in the house.
Yeah. So all of Dusty's training from high school and all of her interest in babies and wanting to have a baby in her life became possible here. And this might be the only chance that she would have had to have that.
And then I was a new Elvis.
Yeah.
I was in Graceland of Marin. And I'm with Angela and little Lexi.
Those people who've known Dusty through the years have known that she's always had some sort of signature. For years and years, she wore a hat. And when she became enamored with Elvis, actually we went to Vegas once, Elvis gave her a scarf, and since those days she's been an Elvis fan, and she's always got a scarf around her. That was baby Lexi's first birthday, right?
Yes.
Yeah. There you all are doing some housework. You've got a helper now.
Yep.
Yeah. And there you are.
And I was helping her.
In the playground.
At the playground.
Yeah, local park just down the street. So, we begin now to talk about your work and your career, right?
Right.
Dusty started, like a lot of people, as a volunteer. She volunteered at the local senior center, and she volunteered at the local Head Start, and she volunteered at the local YMCA in their daycare program. And she did that as part of her community-based day program. Every day they'd go out and do some of these pieces of work. And this is where we first began to see the puppets.
I was at the Novello Head Start. I was getting my own puppet shows for children.
Dusty'd go in and sit behind the screen and do a little puppet show for them.
And I was use the children of my puppets.
Yeah, they got to meet the puppets. And then we moved on. The second phase of work becoming career was what I'll call the typical supported employment activities and opportunities. There are two local hotels that Dusty worked in and in fact still works in. But it was the first pay. The first paychecks were coming in, and we began to deal with Social Security and the reporting issues that go along with that. Who's that, Dust?
I was getting my own uniform ready, and then Teresa just came on over and picked me up.
She's your job coach, right?
A job coach.
Yeah. And you worked for two hotels.
Yeah.
Which ones?
Okay. I was there in the Marriott. I was folding towels.
Right.
Folding towels.
Mm-hmm.
And I was with
the laundry.
Doing the laundry, and I was doing with my two partners.
Yeah, your two co-workers over there. And I have to say that both of these hotels, it was a Holiday Inn and a Marriott, were very, very accepting. Dusty was invited and included in their parties. You were Employee of the Month one month at, I guess, the Holiday Inn.
Yeah.
And it seems to me that you've now gotten some 5-year pins for your work with them. She's just been right in there doing that kind of work. That was the very first what?
And that's my own first paycheck I just got.
Were you rich?
And I was rich.
Well, you didn't get rich on that one because we framed it. but we've got some others in the bank by now. The last piece, or the third step in beginning to define Dusty's career, was really picking up on the idea of a customized employment program and looking at what Dusty really enjoyed doing in her life, finding what the passion was. And the very first step of it was that the YMCA, where she had been volunteering doing this puppet show, hired her. They suddenly started paying good money, nearly $10 an hour, for what she'd been giving them for free. So there was clearly value there. And we began to think of what else Dusty could do around that particular passion. So, Dusty,
Oh, yes.
what did we call it?
I called it Dusty's Puppets.
Pursuing her passion.
The concept for Dusty's business is built on the idea that she likes working with small children and that she loves to be on stage and she loves puppets. This, as we've shown you, has been going on ever since she was a young girl. So the concept is that Dusty will provide puppet shows. She's worked out 7 different shows at this point, each one about 10 to 12 minutes. She uses hand puppets and recorded music and is really wonderful at coordinating the puppets with music. And she performs for children in the age group of 1 to 4. And puppet shows are provided either at daycare centers or preschools or libraries, other places in the community that would be interested in having little puppet shows, as well as birthday parties. And in phase 2, down the road a ways, Dusty will be considering selling puppets and selling recordings. Here you see Dusty doing one of her puppet shows. What do we have here, honey?
Okay, I am in Lexi's first birthday on July, and I was there doing my own puppet shows for children.
Yep.
And I was doing really good, and the rest of the children, they are really pleased to see them.
Dusty has a wonderful way of working with very small children. She relates to them really, really well and is able to engage them. And here you can see a little group of kids that are probably between the ages of 12 months and 18 months attending very, very well and really enjoying what they're doing. So now Dusty is becoming a professional performer, which is exactly along the path that she had wanted to proceed. And she also has a chance to make enough income to enjoy life a little bit more, but without losing too many of her benefits. The self-determination movement has brought into focus the idea of a micro-enterprise. A micro-enterprise is a very small business that someone with or without a disability might start. And our way of getting Dusty into this was a college class, again at the College of Marin, called Start a New Venture. And so Dusty has been taking a class at the College of Marin along with a support person whom we identified as somebody who would be able to help her not only start the business but continue with the business.
And I was with Cher.
Let me say something about the support service. It became very clear that this was not going to be the typical job coach or the typical day program support person or even someone from the residential service provision world. We're talking here about microenterprise entrepreneurship, if you will. And so we were looking for someone that had a little marketing in their blood, someone that might be helpful with the books, keeping the finances of a business, doing the booking as well, and also somebody that would have some flexible time, because a business activity like this might not happen between 9 and 3 on Monday to Friday. So someone that's got a lot of versatility in their life that's also interested in what's going on. And in some other models, we've seen that person might be an employee of the of the service provider, or they may actually get some of their income as an employee of Dusty's in the business.
In the business class, Dusty has learned a structure that's required for putting together her new venture, but she also brings to it the overlay of disability and some additional things that need to be done. But as for anyone, the first thing is to have a business concept. And for Dusty, this is the idea of doing the puppet shows and perhaps the sales down the line. And then Dusty and her support person have been doing an industry analysis. And for that, they've been going around and doing little surveys, checking with moms at the mall, at the YMCA, and various other places regarding whether they'd be interested in having puppet shows for birthdays, what kind of characters their kids liked, what ages would be appropriate, and so forth. And then came the feasibility study. This is where Dusty and her support person have been thinking through, can a business like this make money? And if so, how much? And it's a rather intricate process, but something that needs to be accomplished. We did this with the help of the professors in Dusty's class, but also with the help of the Griffin Hammis book, which we'll refer to later, which has been very helpful to us. And then there's been financial planning. What will it take to gather together the resources that will be needed for Dusty to be able to actually begin the business? We had to come up with 3 budgets. First, the pro forma income statement. That means an income statement projected into the future for about a year, showing what her receipts would be and what her expenditures would be. And then a cash flow budget, and finally a balance sheet for the first day. These 3 budgets and the financial plan would allow Dusty to do a break-even analysis, of course with the help of her teachers and her support person, and to decide whether or not to go ahead. A decision was to be made about what kind of business to form. Should it be a corporation? Should it be a sole proprietorship? And this decision, which has yet to be made, will be based on all of the research that was done. And then finally, it's necessary to put together a business plan so that it's clear what the steps will be once it's decided to go ahead to do the business.
Let me say something about the course. This has been a phenomenal piece of structure for this activity. Dusty's enrolled in a regular College of Marin class in entrepreneurship. These are the steps that 30 other people in that class are going through as they start their business. There's been some disability awareness brought into the classroom because Dusty's going through exactly the same steps, doing the same sorts of analyses, going out and doing all of the meeting of the local people, but she also brings to the process some different issues. There's certainly an issue of her benefits. There's an issue of dealing with Social Security and all of that. But she brings along with that, in terms of issue, the support. And that's the support person share and some of the outside pieces. Looking at the textbook that they're using in the class and the textbook that we found around disability, people with disabilities starting businesses, they're pretty much the same with this additional item. So the class has been very, very interested in watching Dusty. She's been included in it very well by the 2 teachers that team teach it. But it's provided about a 4-month structure for going through all of these steps.
And here are some of the many people who have helped in moving along. And Dusty, who have we here?
Okay, my old circle friends just came along to see me. There was Sakal, Sherry, Don and Dale and me, and John and Daniel just came to see us.
Yes, and we found it necessary to have a separate circle of support for the business, separate from the one for Dusty's life. And these people have all brought with them some knowledge of how to proceed, and it's been very helpful to be able to have outside assistance along the way. And who are these
And-
wonderful people?
And we just came to that building with Ion,
Eli.
Elaine and Susan knows about me.
These are counselors at the Marin Center for Independent Living who have helped Dusty to sort through all of her benefits and to help her understand how those benefits could change if she earns a little bit of money or a little bit more money or a lot of money. And either she needs to earn enough money not to lose too many benefits, or she needs to earn enough money to make it possible for her to live without having benefits. And at this point, we want to make sure that we can preserve the benefits that she has.
This all fits into that planning piece very nicely because we can look at almost a 3-year projection of what Dusty's business will grow to. And we're thinking now that it's going to have some performance. So there'll be some 1099 income. It's going to have some employment. She's still being paid to work at the Y, and there may be some other opportunities for employment. And it may well have some income, some receipts from the sales of things. If you lay all that out in a nice spreadsheet, then you can see the points at which you are going to lose some benefits. Your SSI is going to go down. There'll be a place out there where she might lose the full SSDI benefit, but it's not unexpected. You know what is going to come down the road, and you're sure that that bottom line of having enough cash or enough benefit to offset that is there. These are all the pieces that are involved in that kind of an analysis. Certainly the work incentives of 1619A and B as they relate to Social Security. The impairment-related work expenses are pieces that apply to Dusty. She is legally blind, and so blind work expense is something that can be factored in. The PES is relatively new, at least in our lives, but that's property essential to self-sufficiency. And so the business can own things that the business owns that don't affect Dusty's $2,000 of resources. Certainly the PASS plan, and Eli and Susie were going through their PASS kit with Dusty. Plans for achieving self-sufficiency will help us sort of bridge the loss of some of the benefits. We know that as her income goes up, the Section 8 will be affected, and also perhaps the in-home support services. So all that has to be balanced, and we're really looking to the provider and the circle of support to help us with all of that as we continue to plan for Dusty's supports. So what are we going to do?
Say, just do it.
Just do it. Start up. We're right in the middle of this course at the moment. It should be over in another month. Dusty's final report is to make a pitch as though she were out there with the venture capitalists to see if some people would like to invest in it. And that's where that'll be. But she's continuing those 3 steps of moving from volunteer work to supported employment and now to something that really does interest her. What's next? All of us in this field know that all of these things that are going to affect Dusty are in major flux at the moment. I mentioned that Dusty is dual eligible in Medicaid and Medicare. We know that the changes coming in 2006 are going to affect that. Section 8 is under attack at this very moment in Washington. We know that that's a factor in her life, and certainly the county and home support services is all under budget considerations. Dusty's Social Security will vary as she makes money. We are planning to do that, and we don't know how the MRDD ID system and the Department of Rehabilitation system in California will continue to change. Our particular area does not have self-determination yet, but the state's writing a new waiver right now as we speak. And when that funding comes in, it'll be for something like 10,000 people in the state. It might be very useful as a support element to Dusty because it would give her an individualized budget and a lot of flexibility in terms of how that money could be spent. We've got some business issues. As we mentioned, Dusty is currently doing several things. She's volunteering, she's in wage employment, and she's in self-employment, and all those things take time and interest on her part. There is this question of going into retail sales. I can see Dusty at street fairs and farmers markets where she's entertaining kids and at the side selling inexpensive hand puppets and maybe even some of the music to go with them. And this again are things that her circle of support will help her to figure out. The two circles intersect. Some people are common to both, but there's one group that really does focus on the business and another on life. But all of these are items that we'll be continuing to work on. And finally, looking at Dusty's life herself. She is enamored with puppets right now and has been for 15 years that we can remember easily. But those things could change. She could get tired of doing that one of these days. And this is certainly the kind of a business that isn't going to be transferred to somebody that's not that interested. Her medical issues could get worse. The longer term effects of diabetes can be bad. So we're trying to keep that in good check. And then there's just the thing that all of us struggle with, and that's how you measure and weigh your business life and your social life. Dusty's a very social person. She likes to be out and around and with her friends and doing things. Having this as part of Dusty's puppets has certainly changed her interest in the business side, but you don't know what might change down the road. We've listed some resources for you here. The Griffith-Hamas website is a great spot to look and learn about microenterprise. The Center for Self-Determination is a great place to find help in getting started with that sort of thing. Microenterprise Works is the website of an organization that is national, and there are providers that belong to it. And it's not disability related. There's a thriving industry in this country of microenterprise and an infrastructure of helping for it. That next piece is their journal. Again, not necessarily disability specific, but it's inclusive of everyone. And we did locate the Abilities Fund, which has some startup monies available to people as they start business. These are just folks that have helped us today with all this presentation and people that you've seen pictures that are part of Dusty's life today. What's it all about, Dust?
It's all about, in the end, it's all about having a life.
Well, we started talking today about you and your life, and I asked you if it was good. Is it any better an hour later?
It's great.
It's great. All right.
And fabulous.
And fabulous? You think so? Well, that's our message for today. Let's go back to that Larkspur Landing piece and talk about this little episode from last summer. Who was this?
All right. Dale and I, we just stepped by for lunch at the Murmur Company, and we just listened to Dave when he's singing.
You probably can't read that, but the sign says Dave Matthews Band. That's not the Dave Matthews Band that you probably know about. It's our West Coast version. This is the Dave Matthews Blues Band. And they were playing one Saturday afternoon. We went down and had lunch. The gal singing there with them has a brother who's a cop in our county, and he ambled in to take in the set and sat down with us, and the next thing we knew, Dave came over and was singing to Dusty.
And that's Dave. He just came to see us for a great time.
Yeah, so this is sort of life, maybe laid back in Marin, but kind of fun. And our ambition is that Dusty will live there for quite some years and be very much a part of that community, making some money, doing some fun things, and having a good life.
That's right.
So, you want to say goodbye to folks?
Goodbye, everyone.
We'll be available in the chat room to answer questions, and I don't guess we gave anybody our email addresses, but you can find us online. If you go on and Google for Dusty Dutton, you'll find our website.